No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't buy a PlayStation Vita in 2021. Now, I'll go over some pros and cons so you can make a decision for yourself because, I mean, hey, everyone's different. It might be for you. But in general, for most people, I can't really recommend the PlayStation Vita, and that should say a lot because I've been a huge supporter. I've been recommending it for years, and I still love my PlayStation Vita. Anyway, let's go over some key features. One of the reasons I still love my PlayStation Vita is for the PlayStation Network connectivity. So I think if you're a fan of PlayStation, especially if you play on PlayStation 4, the Vita is a great handheld companion to that. You can remote play your PlayStation 4 from another room in your house on your Vita. You can earn trophies on your same PSN account by playing Vita games on the go. Some games, like Dragon's Crown, support cross-save, so you can transfer your character from Dragon's Crown Pro on the PlayStation 4 to your PlayStation Vita, and you can continue your progress on the go. Then there are also cross-buy titles, so if you get a digital cross-buy title like Shakedown Hawaii, you get the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Vita versions of the game with just one purchase. However, certain actions that Sony took this year makes me a bit worried for the future of PSN connectivity on the Vita. Their plan was to shut down the Vita store so you couldn't make any new digital purchases on the Vita anymore. Fortunately, that decision was reversed due to backlash, but I still feel like Sony wants to shut it down someday, especially when they aren't allowing developers to submit any new games or patches past a certain date. And while they were only going to shut down digital purchases and not PSN connectivity like cloud saves, DRM, or trophies, I'm concerned that it was only supposed to be the first step in a full PSN shutdown on the Vita. So basically, Sony has revealed their hand, so to speak, and it sounds like they would prefer to bury the Vita. The fact that they were willing to give up that revenue stream, as small as it is, speaks volumes. At this point, there's no real guarantee that things will be shut down one day or not, or even how soon that would be. But I don't want to be responsible for recommending something that gets shut down next year. I know if I lost the ability to link my Vita to my PSN account, I would be absolutely shattered. I rely on it for cloud saves and trophies to keep track of how far I've made it through each of my games. Plus, the trophy challenge I hold every month always involves the PlayStation Vita in some way. One of the other reasons I used to recommend the Vita was for the game prices. You could get some really great games for cheap, partly because so many people neglected the system in the first place. Luminous for $10, Katamari for $10, Dragon's Crown for $20, Persona 4 Golden for $20 were my go-to recommendations for just about everyone, and these prices stayed firm through many years. Sure, there were a few games here and there that went up in price, but there was a huge library of great games you could still get cheaply. Unfortunately, after the threat of a digital store shutdown, several investment collectors have swooped in and prices are skyrocketing on just about everything. So unless you get some sort of strange satisfaction out of overpaying for games, it's really hard to recommend buying Vita games to someone that just wants to buy games to play and enjoy. But way before all of that, when the Vita was still actively getting new releases, they were some pretty high-end games for the time, but priced as if they were DS games. Most new games were MSRP $30 to $40, when in actuality, some of them probably should have been higher than that for all of the time and effort that went into good, high-resolution Vita games back then. If a game was released for both the PlayStation 3 and Vita, you could always count on the Vita version being cheaper because that's what Nintendo used to do with their handheld games. Handheld games were always cheaper. And if a game was released for both 3DS and Vita, they were usually the same price, but much higher quality on the Vita. Now, things have changed. On the other hand, for the system itself, the prices actually aren't too bad. You can still get a very nice pre-owned system for around $150, maybe even with some accessories or games thrown in. New in box is a little bit harder to come by these days, but those are currently just over $300. One thing that still holds up today is the form factor. With nicely curved ends, the Vita is a perfect handheld size to fit in a men's pant pocket or a small purse, making it a truly portable handheld. Sometimes I just slip the Vita in my pocket before I go out, just in case there will be any downtime, and many times I'm not even using it, but it's just so easy to bring with that I figure, why not? The Nintendo Switch, on the other hand, is just a little bigger than I'd like. I certainly can't fit it in my pockets as easily or at least as unnoticeably as a PlayStation Vita. Of course, there is the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is smaller, but still not quite in that sweet spot as with the Vita. When it comes to game selection, the Vita was a bit of a black sheep. A lot of games people came to expect were missing, like Grand Theft Auto. And for some reason, Otome visual novels were extremely popular. But now, a lot of the exclusive games have been slowly making their way onto other systems. For example, Persona 4 Golden is now on Steam, and I feel like it's probably only a matter of time before we see it on the Switch and Xbox too. The Vita also had a bit of a dark side, with many pervy games making their way to the system. For example, Moriro Chronicle, but even that saw a more definitive edition released on the Nintendo Switch with all DLC and some additional quality of life improvements. For better or worse, some adjustments had to be made to the input controls since the Nintendo Switch doesn't have a rear touchpad. But the overall library of lewd games on the Vita, I feel like, has already been surpassed by the Nintendo Switch, with Nintendo having a bit more loose regulations on content than Sony, especially today. There are a few games on the Vita that will likely remain exclusive. Games like Touch My Katamari is a version of Katamari that most likely won't ever be remade for other platforms due to the unique rear input controls, and for the simple fact that there are a wide variety of more popular Katamari games that can be more easily ported. Then there are games like Silent Hill Book of Memories, which was an unexpected turn for the Silent Hill franchise. Turning the survival horror game into a dungeon-crawling Diablo-style multiplayer-capable experience, the initial backlash the game got combined with the unconventional gameplay for the series will ensure that it remains a Vita exclusive, one that has become a bit of a cult classic now that fans are aware of what they're getting into ahead of time. That being said, I still can't recommend it at these prices. There are still going to be some games like Killzone Mercenaries that will be more affordable and still exclusive, but if we are comparing fun factor versus price, I could probably recommend some better games on a newer system for the same price. So as far as new games go and what to look forward to, well, we're mostly done. I'm pretty sure the remaining games are all going to be multi-platform, so you won't be missing out if you don't get a Vita. You'll still be able to get these new games elsewhere. At this point, no more new physical games are being produced, but there are several releases that haven't come out yet. Basically, these games are already made and standing by waiting for the release day. For example, East Asia Soft has several upcoming Vita releases that have not yet been revealed, but the physical games are already produced, waiting to trickle out over the remainder of 2021 and possibly the beginning of 2022. So we do have some surprises to look forward to. We also have a couple of North American ESRB rated games to look forward to. Limited Run Games has North American copies of Super Meat Boy and Revenge of the Bird King yet to be released. And Nicholas has 3 games produced waiting on standby: 1001 Spikes, Binding of Isaac, and V's yet to be released. But no expected release dates have been provided yet. Honestly, my recommendation these days is just to pick up a Nintendo Switch or Switch Lite. You'll have better prices, a bigger selection of games, non-proprietary memory cards, and better performance. With the Vita, you'll get a more compact handheld and PSN connectivity for as long as that lasts. If you still want to get a PlayStation Vita in 2021, just know the system is region free, so you can pick one up from any region and switch the language to whatever you prefer. And you've got two models to choose from. The 1000 model uses a proprietary charge cable, it has a beautiful OLED screen, and it requires a memory card, which can be a bit expensive depending on the size you get. The 2000 model uses a more universal micro USB charge cable. It has a very nice looking LCD screen comparable to the Switch, but not quite as nice as the 1000 model's OLED screen. It has a longer battery life, lighter weight, and it has 1 GB of built-in storage memory, which is plenty for game saves. Assuming you're just going for physical games, you won't need to buy a memory card right away. I feel like the lighter weight of this system makes it more durable in a drop test too. I've actually accidentally dropped my 2000 model from about 6 feet in the air to solid concrete twice while exercising on an elliptical machine, and I didn't have any damage to my Vita afterwards. If you're buying a Vita with intentions of playing it, try to get pre-owned or open box systems and games. They are cheaper and you'll get the added benefit of being able to enjoy them. If you're mostly interested in the Vita to be a collection piece and not to play, then new sealed systems and games will be the way to go. They will be more expensive at first, but they'll likely increase in value more quickly. I have both 1000 and 2000 models and I like them both for different reasons. Prices are about the same for either one, but I personally use my 2000 models a lot more because I prefer the benefits of a lighter system, longer battery life, and the fact that I have micro USB charge cables all around the house. But if you aren't planning on playing it too often, or you just want a very nice looking showpiece, maybe you would rather experience the 1000 model's OLED screen. Just don't forget to buy a memory card if you do. Anyway, these are just my thoughts on the PlayStation Vita in 2021, coming from someone that still absolutely loves the PlayStation Vita. But if I lost all of this today and had to start over, I wouldn't pay today's prices. It's not so bad if you already have a Vita to just pick up a few games here and there, maybe do some remote play or pick up some cross-buy titles. If we were still getting new games and there was no threat of a digital store shutdown, things would be a lot different. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you later.